What's up, baby? I'm trying to get my boy here. God, pop the mask. I need to pop the mask. EJ Whitley popping up, baby. Let's go. Let's join in. Let's get this guy on case watching. Hope you guys are good. Today we got some crazy stuff going on in the world, that is for sure. But big prayers, man. Big love out to a lot of people. And if you guys didn't see my post, hit a powerful scripture the other day out of Romans. It was really good. But I'm going to get my boy EJ on here. This guy was really good. See if he's able to tune in real quick. If I can add it. Oh, we got add on here. Here we go. Adding, connecting. Bring the camera down.
What's up, man?
What's up, brother?
You doing all right?
I'm good. Hey, bring the camera down a little bit so we can see your
Some
face
more?
and not your ceiling. There you go. What do you got? You got the Texas Tech on. We got to see the ugly mug. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a delay.
A little delay. All right. Hey, bring even more. I want to see your face, brother. Come on. We got to get a little
I
bit.
can see my whole face.
Can you? I can't see. Oh, there
Yeah.
we go. That's better. That's perfect right there. I got Jeff jumping on. Kyle, come on, baby. I wanted people to, I put it, I don't know if you saw in the title, but I put in Texas Tech Raider, shoot them up, because I know I got a bunch of Raider fans on Facebook here. And then I get, obviously we played together with the Cowboys. But I also got a bunch of people in that medical distributorship, or I know some other people worked at Stryker or some other places that might be able to relate with where your story is or what's going on. But I wanted to bring you on, man. Come on, see Jeff right there, guns up from Kimberly. They're over in Atlanta, living it up. What's up, brother? What's going on?
Not much. I'm getting a big delay. So like I can still hear you. I can see you moving, but I can still hear you talking in my ear.
All right. Well, talk to me like we're talking on the phone, then. How about that? We'll do that. I got my wife
Sounds
jumped
good.
on. Chris is right there. I'll tell you, if you haven't caught any of these, everybody's watching, and for EJ too. What I've been doing is just I've been bringing some people on from my life. Any of these everybody's from watching. Cool people that
What I've been doing
in my
life is just I've been bringing some people on from
like coming from your side.
We're gonna start, man.
Is that good? Is it fixed?
I think we're good now.
Megan,
It's
look at
weird.
my
It's
wife.
like it's saying everything you're saying, and then it's saying it again.
Echo. Oh, I hate the echo. Okay, we'll see if we can go through this a little bit.
Let's get it.
But what I've been doing is bringing buddies on, people in my life that are like doing pretty awesome. Like there's a lot of people in some crazy spots, especially with the tension we have going on right now on the political spectrum, from the pandemic, from just two sides battling each other, from the crazy stuff going on in Minneapolis. And what I want to do with some of this is bring some light, right? We get there's a lot of people love to focus on the negative, and there's a lot of attention. It gets a lot. There's not much when we look at the 5 o'clock news, and you don't usually look at your spouse and say, man, I feel really good about America, right? And so what I wanted this to be is I want to bring people on who've gone through those some tough times, some transitions. And I know it's part of your story is similar to mine in that respect, is from football, but how did we go through these tough times and like where you're at right now? But if you're cool with it, what I want, if you guys got questions, as you guys are watching, if you got questions or comments or something, throw them in there for EJ. But we met each other when he got drafted to the Cowboys, and we've known each other since. Shoot, I remember him helping out when we had the hurricane down off the Gulf. helping a bunch of people there. And I know since his transition from football, he's been killing it with his family and in the next line of work, which I love seeing, which I love highlighting, right? I love seeing the people that make it. We only see the people that crash and burn. And that's what they love. It's basically like the woe is me athlete, like we all suck or something. So I want that. So do this for me, man. Give me a little recap of growing up, where you're from, family, what it was like, and then coming into football, Texas Tech, getting drafted to the Cowboys. Give us a little brief history on that into what we're doing now, and then we'll get into that.
So I'm from Texas City, Texas. It's down by Galveston. That's why I was so a part of the hurricane that happened down there. Played ball. We were 4A ball down there. Played basketball, track, a couple other sports. Had a couple of uncles that played pro ball. Went out to Texas Tech, played there for 5 years, and then got drafted by the Cowboys, and that's when I ended up meeting you.
That's probably the best portion of your life, right?
It was. By far the best portion was meeting Corey. And
dude, all I remember, because before we met, I remember we talked about this the other day. Dylan Gandy, I knew.
Yeah.
But the only thing I remember people talking about was Texas Tech at the time. You guys would have like 7-9 step drops where you were just, it was like a vertical or straight, just basically
we backpedaled.
A backpedal.
Yeah, we backpedaled. We had our alignment was to get the ends to the hashes. So that was our splits. And then we would basically backpedal. So we'd have these giant throwing lanes for the quarterback already created there.
That's wild. That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, but that's hard too, man. I sit here and think about because I've always had the 2 to 3 foot splits and traditional pass sets. But when I played at Montana and coming into the league, I mean, how was that coming? I mean, to me, that seems like super hard to sit there and, I mean, I guess you do what you do, but how was that?
Yeah, it was it's a little bit of a change going to the shorter split, but it actually wasn't as hard pass blocking because that's what we did. The hard part actually was learning to get back in a 3-point stance. You know?
Oh, we're getting the freeze action right now. I don't know if it's just me or if it's EJ. Maybe everybody's jumping on right now. It's 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock Friday. Everybody thinks they're off, or at least they might be sandbagging at work for some reason. But we'll see if we can get my guy back. I don't know what's going on. What's happening there is lost him. Let's see if we can reconnect. But for some of you guys that don't know, let's see if I can re-add them on here. As a lineman, we have the center guards and centers, or center guards and tackles. Here we go. We got to get back on. There he is. You're back, baby. I hear you.
Man, it's better. I don't have that echo anymore.
There we go. Okay.
It worked out.
I was just telling people, you got cut off when you hit, like, it's tough going to a 3-point stance. And so go from there.
The hardest part was run blocking. I mean, in high school, that's all we did was run block, run block, run block. So I played basketball, so I'm a little more finesse than a hard-nosed guy like you. And so I like to pass block more. So that's why I went to Tech. But then coming to league, pass blocking was actually, and with the transition to the league, it actually helped me to be able to do that much pass blocking in college because, I was able to already have the footwork and understanding what people were trying to do to me.
Yeah, no, that's big time. Because you always remember who was the big dude? They always talk about him being a draft bust, just a monster coming out of school, O-lineman. But all they did was run block. I think it was like Penn State or something. But all they did was run block.
It was a guy. It was a tackle out of Iowa, right?
Is that who it was? Just a monster, but he couldn't pass block.
He was a monster. He was a monster in the Big Ten out of Iowa, and they tried to throw him at left tackle, and he really struggled because all he had done is I can't think of his name. He had real long hair, right? Yeah, as a kid out of Iowa. I can't think of his name.
But no, that's good. You come back, you're
Yeah.
able to do that a whole lot better. It's what so coming into that, a lot of people don't know, like you came in to the Cowboys, you were drafted and then you tore your ACL in rookie minicamp. Like I was there, it was my second year, I think, in the league.
Yeah.
And so I was coming off practice squad, just got picked up by the Cowboys, but we were both fighting for spots. And
Yeah.
and this guy, like worst case scenario, injures his ACL in the first camp with the
Yeah, I
Cowboys.
had an ACL, medial meniscus, and actually microfractured my tibia.
Oh shoot, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. It was nasty.
So, all right, walk through that. Because I remember you rehabbing, training in the weight room. Walk through that whole process, and then what happened after.
It was good. I mean, Britt was really good, and Jim, and I had really good. The guys on the O-line were really, really nice. Kind of helped me along because I mean, at that point in my career, I'd never had an injury like that. I've never had an injury that's made me sit out a season. I've maybe have sat out of practice for an ankle or something, but never something as bad as losing a whole season, especially a rookie who was trying to earn his stripes and prove that he could play in a league where most of us probably aren't ready anyways, getting to that level, especially on the line. And so it was pretty tough getting set back a whole year and having the injury, the microfracture was the same thing Stoudemire had that pretty much ended his basketball career. And so it was pretty nerve wracking thinking, how am I going to recover from that?
That's for a lot of people, we hear microfracture, and that's basically a death sentence. I swear. I'm like,
Yeah.
I never had to walk through that, thankfully, but from what I heard from other people that had it or looked at the possibility of it, was either the doc, trainer, or whoever. And when you say Britt and Jim, those are our trainers at the Cowboys. They're still there, but that's usually like you taking the dog out, and that's like the worst thing.
Yeah, lucky for me, I had Cooper, and Cooper I mean, he's the truth, man. I think he's the best orthopedic surgeon in the league by far, and I have had zero issues with it. I hoop 3 days a week. I actually have no issues with that microfracture. It healed really, really well. So I was actually pretty blessed that I was able to still come out and not have all the pain and issues that most people have, because all they can do is drill holes in it and hope that scar tissue forms to recreate the bone. I mean, that's how they fix a microfracture. So I was lucky that my knee is actually doing pretty well.
Man, dude, that's awesome. Cooper, you guys don't know, Cooper is our orthopedic surgeon for the Cowboys. He's got an office. He does regular people too, but he's got an office in Dallas.
Yeah.
And so I basically, when we go to the doctor and they say, who's your doctor? I'm like, well, Cooper. My orthopedics.
I'll try to go back to Cooper every time. Yeah, over at the Carroll Clinic. Yeah, he's good, man. He's the truth.
Kind of fun fact about that. Not fun fact. When I had my knee, I ruptured my toe tendon, right? It was infected. It was nasty. Jimmy Andrews was doing all my surgeries with that. And so they know each other well. And when I came back after my second surgery, which was just a scope just to clean the scar tissue out, it blew up. We didn't know, but I had these crazy fevers going on, and there was an infection happened in my knee, which is a lot of reason for all my surgeries. But I woke up one morning and like the thing had blown up and just totally filled up and was nasty. And I had to go to Cooper for him to drain it to be able to get on an airplane to go redo it.
Yeah. That same thing happened to me, but once I got hurt at camp, that was pretty much the last day. And, they put you up in the hotels prior. You don't have a place to live. I mean, you literally got drafted, and then like 2 weeks later, like, all right, we'll see you in Dallas. And so they had to drain my knee so I could get on the flight to get back home. It was bad. When it happened, Jim checked me, and he's like, you're fine. Like, there's no tear. And it was weird. I guess it swelled up so quick they couldn't move it. So they had to throw me in the MRI, and that's when they found out that, no, you're done for the year.
Dude, that's crazy. I tell you what, that's probably the nicest thing in the world, being at a pro facility, is your access to an MRI anytime you want. I got hurt.
Well, and just the medical side of it too, the trainers, man, I miss that. if my body's hurting, you go in, jump in an ice bath, or hey, I need some ice and stim or some ultrasound. I mean, it was immediate. Now it's like I got this little tins unit and bags of ice out of my fridge. It's a different world.
I got a Finding Dory one for Grace for if you want to use it.
We call ours the Boo Boo Bunny.
This is awesome. Okay, so you get hurt. Where did that career end? How did that feel? What was that like, kind of going through that? And what was the next steps? Where did you roll after?
So I promised my wife at that point, Bryn, now she was my fiance at the time, that I said, just give me 3 years. Let me try and find a home, which you know how hard that is. I mean, it's really, really hard, especially a young kid out of college that's torn his ACL that doesn't have a lot of film. And so I had a little stint with the Bears and a little stint with the Ravens, but then, I promised my wife that if I couldn't find a spot that I'd hang them up and I'd go get a real job and figure it out from there. And so I ended up with a company called Stryker, and I sold imaging devices, so stuff where like they can read X-rays digitally. And I did that for a while, and I've just kind of been in medical ever since. And I went to CMF where I was doing facial trauma, bringing plates and screws to fix people's faces when they got in bar fights or hitting, car accidents or hitting the face with baseballs, things like that. And then I got into spine, and that's kind of where my career really took off, with spine. And then I ended up teaming up with a buddy of mine named Rex Richards, who played ball with the Colts. He was the right guard at Tech. And so we teamed up, and it's just kind of been a blessing to have him as a teammate again, because things have been going really, really well, even during the pandemic. I mean, we got hit pretty hard, but we were able to pull through it and kind of rein everything back in.
That's awesome. So, all right. So how did that happen? How was that transition? I mean, you go from working for somebody, right, to working for yourself, starting your own company. I mean, how is that like? How's it been now?
Well, the nice thing about sales is you pretty much work for yourself the whole time. You know that when you were doing the Kill Cliff stuff. I mean, you've got people you report to and numbers, but I mean, it's your territory, it's your business. The only difference is now is I don't have, a big corporation that I report to now, I just report to myself now. So now when they ask for numbers, it's just now I'm telling myself what those numbers are instead of a regional vice manager or something like that. So really, the nice thing about sales, it kind of transition you there. It's just the hard jump is going from having a corporate backing, so they have 401k, insurance, all the stuff to get you into hospitals for shots and records, and you do all that on your own now. So all that stuff is I've got to find a way to get insurance for my family and the 401ks and all the benefits. I mean, that's honestly just the biggest difference between working for a corporation and doing my own distributorship.
It's good though. I mean, you're forced to learn about all that stuff too.
Yeah. It helps you learn about the financial side of the world and where you can invest and what's a ripoff, what's not a ripoff. And, it helps me when I try to bring people over away from the corporate world and come be a part of the team, and I'm able to talk them through the things that help them make better choices. And, because it's scary when you have, it's like when you left the NFL, when you had the NFL as a backing. I mean, that's pretty good backing. Anywhere you went, people would help you out or go out of their way to help you. When you're on your own, it's on your own. It's like there's no one there to help. In our world, in the distributorship, it's eat what you kill. There is no base. It's you either go sell or you ain't getting a paycheck. So it's very hard for people to you can make better money doing it this way, but it's a lot more pressure to go out and say, all right, I don't want the big corporate backing. I want to be rewarded for my hard work, which I think being a part of football, that's why I wanted to go that route, because everything in football is the harder you work, the more you got rewarded. Where in the corporate world, you can work as hard as you want. You may not get rewarded for it. You're still making someone else
right
instead of yourself.
You're still at the beck and call of other bosses or corporate structure, caps, whatever.
Yep. That's like even in the NFL, right? There's a structure, right? Our job as linemen was to make our O-line coach look good. If our O-line coach looked good, then the receivers coach and the quarterback's coach look good because they're performing well, and then the head coach looks good and Jerry look good. So, and in the corporate world, that's exactly how it is. You're making your manager look good, And if you're not making your manager look good, or if they're not doing well, then I mean, then you end up in this weird sticky situation where they're not going to throw themselves under the bus. So being a part of this and all the reward and everything I do, it comes to me and my family instead of, the corporate, which there's nothing wrong with that. I don't see any issue with the corporate world. I just didn't want to take that.
Right. Was that apparent when you were at Stryker and you're like, man, maybe you're doing well, but you just didn't like that structure, or did you know out the gate that you wanted to go into something for yourself?
No, it took time. I mean, my whole life I'd been a part of football. So, especially on the offensive line, your job is to block, and you don't get a lot of reap and reward for everything that you do. It's, if you do good, no one talks about you. If you give up 5 sacks, everyone's talking about you. So I mean, that's just kind of, so I had to learn how, when I went into, like, for instance, when I was at Stryker Imaging initially, I worked for an incredible boss. Her name was Megan Turner. Awesome boss. I loved her to death. But she was running endo, which was a whole different place. So I was basically running imaging, but I wasn't the manager, right? So, but I was still making Megan look good because everything was still running a smooth ship over there. So
that's good, man. That's all right. No, it's okay, coming into the situation right now, what's something big that you had to work through? Because you've always been a smart guy. This is where I think you and I have been similar and been able to have some success, not just in the league, but post-career in different areas. And even with our families is we've always been intelligent, worked hard, been where you were supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there. It's all great. But what was something that you've gone through for me, it was my faith, right? There's some different challenging times in my life and ended up coming to my faith, which really was kind of a catalyst turner for me. But I mean, is there some, like, a moment you were going through, either through the shift of football, maybe it was through marriage or having kids, or coming into this new business that was like, hey, shifted everything for you to make sure that you propelled through that hard time? That was a lot.
That's a good question. I mean, I would say, being married in general is tough, and anyone that tells you it's not, they're lying. I mean, it's a job and it's a work. I mean, it's easy to, people will give up pretty.
Oh no, we're getting the freeze one more time. It's tough. I don't know if you guys noticed, he opened the door and wiped his brow. That's the lineman. Lineman just kind of eased, the big man eased to get a little cooler. He turned off the truck, so he's obviously getting hot. Hopefully, see if we can't get him back on here in a sec to finish that thought. But awesome, always great attitude. Oh, lost him. We'll see if we can get him back on here. 1 second, and come on, baby. See if we can jump back on real quick. But this has been it's been a tough time for everybody, right? I think I lost him here. See if we can jump back on. But it's been a tough time for everybody, and what I like to highlight is EJ has been persevering through injury in the league, through leaving the league. Let's try this one more time, see if I can get him back on. But through leaving the league and having to go through this whole identity change is a tough deal to do, right? Like a lot of us in this pandemic, we're having to go through that, either loss of a job or furloughed or whatever, or even through the current situation with George Floyd and the Minnesota rallies that are going on right now, right? This is stuff. These are major turmoil issues in our lives that we got to speak to, and if these and we got to walk through these. And the ultimate thing that I like about tough times is it forces tough questions, which forces tough answers, which forces tough reflection on yourself, and so these purpose my questions when I'm talking to EJ or anybody else I have on here for you guys, and hopefully he's able to jump off to kind of wrap this up. But when we do that, man, it forces a totally different a reflection on ourselves, a good one. This is, and the whole point is that it's like, man, I don't know, I don't have all the answers. And this is, I've shared this before, but the very first scripture that ever hit me hard, for real, hit me was Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and soul, lean not on your own understanding. And I remember when that hit me for the first time. I was in my men's leadership group over at church, and we read that, and it's a popular verse, but I remember the first time it hit me, I was trying to read and I just couldn't get past that verse. And I remember kind of like basically God saying, uh, stop trying to do everything, right? Stop trying to control the world. And I remember I was ticked off at him at the time for some different things. And I just remember I was like, all right, when I did that, I'm like, fine. I kind of threw my hands up in the air and I'm like, all right, you got this. And and when I did that, it was a really kind of freeing moment, a really cool moment, because for the first time I realized I'm like, I can't control everything. I can do a whole lot to influence, and I can do a whole lot with my voice and my actions and my leadership capabilities, but I can't control everybody. And if I truly care and love my brothers, love my people that are around me, I got to listen to them. And so, but I love it because those tough times, they force a reflection moment on yourself. And if you don't go into that, if you don't go into that moment and kind of look towards yourself and really try to change a pathway or a perspective that you've been looking at things, you're not going to progress in this life at all, right? You're going to lose awesome relationships that you've had, or that could be even more than what they are. You're going to lose potential marriages. You're going to lose relationships with your children. You're going to lose lots of different everything. EJ just texted me, not sure what happened. Oh, you're back, EJ. You're back. Come on. Let's see. Oh, here he is. Let's see if we can get on. I need the ad thing. EJ, jump on, see if you can request to get on. I see you on here, but it's not letting me do the ad thing real quick. 1 second, everybody. I apologize. Here it is. Here it is. We're going to bring him back on. We got Adam. We'll finish this back up. This will be good. We'll just wrap this up. It's 10:30. I want to keep it around 30 minutes. But Chief, I see you, brother. Come on, man.
Weird, man. I don't know what happened. You know, these iPhones, they just like to restart on their own.
No,
I
that's
think
good.
the iPhone's got about the same as memory as my brain right now.
Dude, no, that's awesome. That's funny. One of my buddies from college, Jason Francis, Chief, we call him. He's in the same industry over in Arizona. He was in town not too long
Oh,
ago,
nice.
so I saw him pop on. But no, I was talking before you got on. The reason I like doing this is it's like I was asking about these tough times, and we'll wrap it up with this, with you kind of coming through this. But the reason I like asking, what's something heavy that you went through, what's something tough that you went through, and what was the benefit of that? Because just like right now with all this crazy stuff we have going on, we don't want it, but this forces a growth and reflection period that if you don't go through it, you don't walk through that hell, you're not going to experience the massive gift that's on the other side of it. And so, that's purpose of my asking the question. But if you had something, we got cut off, but if you had something that you went through that would like actually brings a pretty awesome message to you, that could be shared with everybody, what would that be?
I know it's the old saying that don't wait, if you want it, go get it. But about 3 years ago, 4 years ago now, I lost my mom, and my brother was getting married on leap year. And I thought, oh God, who gets married on February 29th, right? It's just so weird. And it was a blessing because I went down to support him. And sure enough, my mom, 3 days later, passed. And if I wouldn't have gone down to celebrate with my brother, then I would have never have got to see her one last time. And there's that old John Wooden quote: "If you don't have time to do it now, when will you?" And it really is true. It's like, especially with this pandemic, one of my closest friends, who was actually a doctor too, is from Italy, and that's where his parents are, and he can't see them. And so he goes every day not knowing if something happens to him, that he'll never be able to see them, that he can't get over there and help them. And you're talking about a guy that is a neurosurgeon, who's a brilliant neurosurgeon, that doesn't have control. And I think letting go of control and just living your life. If you want to do something, do it. Like if there's someone you want to reach out to, I think we get caught in this world of, well, if they're not going to reach out to me, I'm not going to reach out to them. It's like, just reach out, you know, keep your side of the street clean is what I always say. That way you can always, you know, with a healthy conscience and a full heart, know that you did the right thing, that you reached out and you did what you were supposed to do. Now, whether they react the way you want or not, that's not on you at that point.
Man, I keep your side of the street clean. I like that. That's I was when we got cut off, I was just sharing one of the biggest things that that ever hit me. It's a popular verse, but Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all your heart and soul, lean not on your own understanding. And I remember the first time I hit that was because I came through football ending, you know, thinking I had more left in the tank, and then us losing somebody really close to us, to wanting that control. And so that's funny. I mean, like you brought it. It's funny you bring up the same thing. So, I mean, it's a powerful message, but it's freeing at the same time.
It is.
And so, man, I appreciate that. That's really good. And I would, especially anybody who's going through something like that, man, take note of those words and chew on them for a little bit, because that's really good from my boy, the shoot 'em up Raider.
Yeah, guns up,
guns up.
Yeah,
Dude.
yeah. Don't be afraid to reach out, man. There's, you know, we were taught our whole lives that you have to be tough and you can't mentally show this and that. Man, that's BS. Like, if you need help, go get help. It's you know, you look back now at all that and you're just like, wow, I can't believe I was trying to, you know, stay at this middle ground this whole time. And actually, for my marriage, you know, it was a hill to get over. Being emotional and sharing things, you know, it was a hill to get over after being an athlete for so long.
Totally is, man. Dude, I appreciate it. But Jesse Bowles on here, stellar guy. Glad you're sharing your goods, EJ. We miss seeing you guns up, so it's good.
Yeah, man. I miss Tech, miss Lubbock, the LBK, the Jones.
Dude, man, thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit.
Thanks for having me, man.
I'm glad that we were able to reconnect after playing and doing all that, and it's just. But that's why I asked you to be on here, because you've always been stand up, and I really appreciate everything that's going on. And I just love how you're going out and killing it in the world. But you got your faith and your family and everything like that. That's all leading the way and paving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paving the foundation.
Absolutely.
All right, brother. Well, hey, you go.
All right, man. Appreciate you having me.
Go get it. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll talk to you later.
Later, guys.
All right. Bye.